Hello, and welcome back to our Spice Up Manifestation Day 10. And if anybody got my email and read that today Carol was supposed to be here, but the game changed, the rules were reestablished, and Nabil is here. Carol is gonna see us some other time. And Nabil, thank you so much. I appreciate that you jumped in and just came to hear and share some of your personal experience, how it is when we are working together. But before we start, I just wanted to kind of recap what did we do this week in week 2 of our Spice Up manifestation. We were talking about the fears, and we were talking about different kind of fears, right? So the first day of this week, which was day 8, we started to talk about the fear of unknown, how it is, sometimes we get paralyzed because that analysis paralysis just kept keep us at the comfort zone, because we think, what if we are gonna fall, right? But I always say, what if you're gonna fly, right? So we learn to look at it at the other side, right? Because there are always two sides of the coin. So we were talking about fear of the unknown. Then we talked about fear of being rejected, right? How we are also afraid to make sure that everybody accepts us. And what if somebody's gonna say no? And I always say, so what does it mean? It's not like somebody is physically kicking you, right? It's just the word no.
Mhm.
So it's all about just the more we practice it, the better we become, right? So that's why we are not really reacting on it. And that third one was the fear of failure, which I was talking about, that all successful people, when we look at their success, we think that this is something that was already predetermined, that they are so lucky, that it's just their destiny. But the idea is that if we start like really digging into the stories of each successful person, we realize that success coming with a lot of trial and tribulation, with a lot of sweat, with a lot of work and persistence. And yesterday, on the day 9th, we were talking about fear of success, how sometimes we want to play out, but then we want to stay small because we are afraid what our friends or our family is gonna say. They might not want to be with us anymore. You don't want to shine your light because it feels like you're gonna just make everybody blind around you. Then we were talking about the fear of change, right? Again, like I said, it's a normal course of life. We are always changing, we are always evolving. And sometimes these changes are unpleasant for us, because if we are not consciously contributing to these changes, something drastic is going to happen that just throw us into that change that has to be done. And the last one was the fear of being judged, right? And as we already determined, it's okay. It's okay when somebody doesn't like us, because we are not gonna be able be likable by everybody, right? So it's all on the energetic level. Some people we clicked in, and some people we are just repel each other. So it doesn't matter how famous the person is. That person is still gonna have their Raven fans, and some people cannot stand them,
Mhm.
right? So it's okay to accept the life as it is, and just move forward confidently. And Nabil, I am welcoming you, and thanks so much for showing up and coming here and just share a little bit of your journey, so people can actually connect their stories to your story. And let's just dive in and talk a little bit about your journey. So you came to me a couple of months ago. Can you share what was something that made you saying yes to yourself?
Well, I think for each person or each individual, they have a different way of approaching their life problems. Um, one is you say, well, I can deal with it. And some people, somehow they deal with their issues, I would say, on different levels. Maybe their upbringing is different. They have stable families. They were exposed to people that uh, they guided them in their life. You know, and I would say these are the fortunate ones. you know. And then you have some people, they grew up in, I would say, in broken up families, and it's okay. There is no judgment for this person or that person, whether you had a stable family or not. But having a stable family, it's a great foundation for any individual. Um, so I would say, um, my prime issue in life, talking about myself, I grew up in the Middle East most of my teenager years, and unfortunately, we were exposed to. Now it's everywhere. It seems like we have war in Europe right now, and in Israel, and um, in many places before. So I was exposed to that. On top of it, uh, my father wasn't too much present in my life because he had to work in another country, and my mom was very young when she had me. So there's many, many, um, many reasons that I grew up asking the questions. Many questions like why these things are happening in the world, why we have wars. Um, why these are happening to me, and so forth. So I had interest in yoga at a very young age, and I think it was my escape haven, where I can go and meditate. And I didn't know much because at that time there was no internet. You're lucky if there's a library in your town, and I was lucky there was a library, and I started reading about yoga and about spirituality. However, growing up, I used it for different purposes. Sometimes to run away from my problems. It's like a pill. Just I go meditate so I can forget. So I didn't really deal with my issues. So whatever tools I used is to escape from my prime problem. And of course it start going. I start um, not I start. It was. Um, it was evident in my life that I was pushing it back into my subconscious. Now, one thing happens when we grew up. We either gotta face the past and say, okay, so what are we gonna do about it? And concentrate on the present. But you have to acknowledge where you started from, like who you are, what's going on. So I needed a system. So all of this time growing up, I went to spiritual groups. I went to counseling, um, and they deal with these issues from a different angle. I'm not saying that they didn't have the answer for me, but what I've seen that it's one way street. It's like if you do these things, and this is definitely you know um, the pill, the pill that's gonna cure you. Um, but as you evolve in spirituality, you see it. There's different ways of looking at the issue. There's different systems available. So I came across Mary Morrison's the Dream Builder program. And then, just to fast forward, I, uh, you know, I reconnected with Irina after I think it was at least like 10 years. Irina,
Mhm.
correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
we
wrong.
used to work together, right? We used to work together in the corporate world.
Yeah, we worked together, and I had no idea that Irina, she had interest in spirituality. We really never like talked about these things. We're just like coworkers. We talk about work, about our families. I didn't go in depth about what I do beside my regular work. So it came to my surprise when I reconnected to Irina, uh, that she's a life coach, but not any life coach who is who studied with Mary Morrison, who did the dream building program. And I was amazed because I know Irina, she was very developed person back then, but I've seen her like shining more, like oh my God, this is this is Irina and more. What happened to her? Like how that happened. So I was amazed to see that my healing is coming from a co-worker that I once knew, and that she's doing this work. So um, beside the fact that I was comfortable with you, Irina, and I jumped right in, but also I was apprehensive about the program, and I believed in the program. But you coming in, and I said, listen, Irina did it, and she's doing great, and Irina knows me, so why don't I? So I didn't give it too much thought, I said, I have to do this, I owe it to myself. Um, so I can tell you this, Irina, like each time I do the session with you, which is a weekly right now, and I know you're generous enough to follow with me every day and make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, or if I need help to because I tell you sometimes it is it is um, it is a challenge, and it's part of the process, to have those challenges. It kind of it sharpens your tool more, and it sheds light on more issues that probably I wasn't aware of or I'm not looking at. um, and my muscles are getting stronger, I would say, in terms of like a metaphor. So instead of running on the same trail, you know so I'm running at different trails, enjoying the scenery and just evolving and developing. That's the way I feel right now. I'm not worried on falling down, because I know I'm stronger than I was 2 months ago, 2 months or 3 months ago. and
But Nabil, can
I
you
mean, and
just
you're
share
talking
a
to a
little bit?
veteran. Yeah.
Can you just share a little bit, like,
Hmm.
why did you decide to step into this program and just, like, decide to do it? Because a lot of people are telling, okay, I've got enough of things. There are a lot of videos, there are a lot of books, and I've got it all. And they are not really stepping forward because they are not realizing the power, because there is a difference between information and transformation, and transformation only happens when there is an
When you implemented
Yes, when
implementation.
you
Yeah.
implement it, and it's incremental steps, we cannot expect the results right away, right? So it's very
Yeah.
important to understand that, right? So what made you to say yes? And besides the fact that you knew me, and obviously you showed up on my workshop, which the next one is coming next week, and I invite everybody who is watching this live or the replay to
Yeah.
join me on that workshop, because it's super, super powerful. But what made you at that day decide that this is something that you want to go after? Like, what exactly was going on in your life at that moment that you decided to step into your power and say yes to yourself?
Well, I tell you that I'm not gonna say I was at the bottom, because I hit bottom
Mhm.
many times in my life. Um, but I wasn't at a happy space, and it's hard. Like when you have everything, like you have everything, and you can materialize everything in your life. That's what you think, but you can't materialize joy within you and happiness within you with everything that you have around you. And I'm not talking about depression. It's not depression. I know depression because I've been depressed before, and I understand depression. But when you don't anymore value connections, or so there's something going on a deeper level, I feel, within me, that it's ready to shift, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you will decide at that point, like, look, you can live your life miserable, you know what I mean, and look at the cup half empty all you want, and look at all of the problem in the world, or you can choose to think, you know what, but the half of the cup is full, and everything is there within you. I'm talking about within myself. Okay. Um, so so I have to reflect that joy outside, and it wasn't happening, you know. Um, like I can tell you what happened today, Irina. We worked together
Tell
today,
me, yes,
right?
you had the session today. Yes.
Yeah, that's how powerful things are when we talk about negativity. You know, my phone was ringing left and right. Like I told you, I'm going to read my vision today, right? And if somebody is listening and don't understand what vision is, like the blueprint, I was reading my
Mm-hmm.
blueprint and I was enjoying it. You know how many phone calls came? Like at least I wanted to send you a, you know, a um,
The picture.
take a picture of it and send, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and send it to you like it was real. And then on top of it, my renter calls me up and say, "Hey, listen, my drain is clogged. That's the main drain is clogged.
Mm.
So, um, so we have to deal with that on top of it." And I had to go and deal with, shit, with fecus matter. So all of this is a manifestation, I think, of the purging process. Like I'm seeing these things with my own eyes. You know what I mean? We're trying to get this drain working, and then the pipe is broken that's in the ground, so now a company has to come and dig. you know
Mm.
so anyway, that all was going on today. you know but I stood fast, and I said, you know what, I mean, things like this, it's not at the end of the world. These things happen. I'm just
Yeah,
going to take a
life
look at it
life
and see.
sometimes, whether we want it or not, right? Life just shows up the
Yeah,
way it
yeah.
shows up, right?
The way it won,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, I start laughing at all of
I
this.
love it.
I changed my,
Your
like you
perception of
said
things,
today,
right?
change your reaction to the things, instead
Mm-hmm.
of like getting upset and, oh, the world is crumbling, and look at what's going on and pity me. I said, you know what? I'm going to change this, and I'm going to laugh at it. Um, so, so that little shift changes thing a lot around, and positivity start happening. So the drain finally cleared, even though the pipe was broken, and they're scheduled to come in. So the worst didn't happen, you know, and it all has to do with just, I called somebody else to help me with the drain, because the company came and said, "Oh, the pipe is broken. That's it. We're gonna put the permit 3 days, and I mean, we need to clear the dirt from the pipe so that things start flowing at least for the weekend, till they're ready to come and dig." So I called somebody else, and they came and we were talking. He was super helpful, and he told me, "No, you have time for at least like a week or 10 days right now for it to get plugged, because it's the season. These things happen around this time."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so um, so the tools that you imparted to me, what has changed, I knew about this a long time. I believe in the manifestation and the power of the energy, but I think I didn't have enough support around me that believes in the same thing. Every time I talk about this, people around me, they laugh. They think I'm crazy. Since I was a kid, they think I'm like lost it somehow. And now I'm not saying the value of it in dollars, but it's $1 billion business. It's all over. People, they believe it, and it's happening. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, who would thought right now that we can have a meeting, we're one, two, three people right now, and you can see me from a distance, and so forth. If you remember when I was at Coach USA, I thought about all of this because I worked in computer, and they used to laugh at me. Like one day we will be, um, you know, having meetings over this. If I only knew, I would have patented all of this. You know,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
but here you go. The power of the mind. And we were imagining it. And probably my imagination, plus other people's imagination, it kind of the energy. Somebody is sucking this energy, and making it happen. It's like we are the investors, and we invest on somebody who's doing the work, you know. And usually the person who does the work get the bigger pie, not the investor, because we are investors in energy right now. Um, so so I'm deciding to, I decided, what, I'm worth, I'm worth living my dream. I want
Mhm.
to live my dream, and I know my dream is not so selfish, because I really would like to leave something to humanity. You know,
Yeah, to leave the legacy behind yourself.
well,
Yes.
well, it's not only for me, but I believe I'm just a conduit. My individuality is just a conduit. Nabil is just a conduit, and I'm here to serve. So, so I really want to leave something good on the planet, whether it's noticed or not. It doesn't make a sense, but it will make my core happy. It will make my individuality wealth. I mean, worth live it. That I was worth this life. It's worth something for me to be on this planet. That I didn't waste it. You know. So and
Nabil, can
may
you just
yeah.
please share? I'm sorry to interrupt you because I have Carol also. She wants to talk a little bit
Oh
as
yeah, hi
well.
Carol. I see Carol. Yeah, hi Carol. Yeah, yeah.
Nabil, can you quickly tell people like what is like one shift or the tool that help you out to deal with the daily issues, and how your shift of perception actually changed the entire energy around the things that you are doing on a daily basis?
Well, you have to give me an example, but I can tell you that just because you talked a little bit about fear, and I'll tell you about this. Okay. Um, a friend of mine came and visited me, and we went to the casino together.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
great story.
yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
Nabil, before you went to the casino. Remember, we had that day the Zoom meeting, right? And Carol was
that
there,
that that
right?
is true. That
It
is
was the
true.
Q&A on law of attraction, right? And we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
talking, and all of a sudden you had this download, and you had to share about how to make quick money, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I didn't know that I'm gonna be going to casino. I don't go to casinos. And I didn't know my friend, he's into casinos, that he's a master in gambling. So I didn't know about all of this. I just throw it out there, and I said, like, if you want to make fast money, where do you go? And I said to casino, you know, and um, and I said, you will set your intention to win, you know and you imagine, smelling the money and the amount of money, and so forth, and you have to believe it. And before going there, I was talking to my friend, and he was laughing at me. Literally, he's very logical. He says, look, this is a very logical game. You follow these steps and you win. And I said, no, but there's still patterns, right? There's still like unknown. How would, they're shuffling the cards, right? He says, yeah, yeah, but I mean, you will see. If you're not winning, you get out. And I said, what if you are winning? He says, well, you stay in until you lose a little bit, and then you leave. you know. So I said, okay, that's a good strategy. But and then I told him, what if you're just winning and winning and winning? And he says,
Mm.
well, doesn't happen, you know, on on a on a daily basis, or it's not normal. And I said, look, we're walking in. What I want you to do is imagine that you're winning. So he refused, not refused, but he was like laughing at it.
He was
But I,
resentful. Yeah.
yeah, he was just like, this is crazy, you know, it doesn't work that way. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this. So as we're walking in and before getting there, and I'm setting my energy and I'm doing the manifestation in my mind, but there was one thing lacking. I don't know the feeling of winning, you know. So when we went and sat at the table, I said, you know what, I have to capture that feeling, you know, capture it. When we win, when he wins a hand, I will capture that feeling, and I will amplify it, you know, and I will see how I'm feeling inside. And I try to do it right before the second hand. So there was somebody sitting on the right. He was sitting on the right, and another person was sitting on the left. So I was in the middle. So there were two hands on the table and the dealer, and I'm in the middle, and I'm just watching. So I start tuning my energy in, you know, and they start winning, and I start getting excited. So I took that energy and I start amplifying it right before the second hand, and they won, and then they won, you know, and they were going crazy. So um, so that's when things start happening that night. And so I invested with him, and I said, okay, so now I'm investing with you, and let's play, you know. And he's looking at me, says, don't do this, you're bringing a bad whatever mojo, because I was getting, you know, worried. But then I went back to relaxing myself, and you know, feeling those feelings again, you know. And guess what, we start winning again. And that's when I told him, okay, let's get out. That's it. So we got out because I needed to relax. You know, I was like shaking, you know,
Mhm.
I start shaking. And that's when I knew that I can't handle. See, that gives you a sign, you know, the sign from that first lesson or the second lesson about the pen, you know, the first lesson about the pen,
Mhm. Yeah.
expanding your belief. So as I'm expanding, because I'm not used to this, I start shaking, you know, fear, the fear um, start
Rising up.
becoming
Yes.
present.
Hmm.
And as fear came in, you know, we went in with the fear, and then you will lose. It was like very interesting, you know. And guess what, because the pan is set to a limit,
Hmm.
it seems like we are comfortable with losing, not winning at some
Hmm.
stage, because of that limitation that we set for ourselves. So as we get to that barrier, you know, the barrier beyond the limit of our pan, we start trembling because it's a new territory, you know.
Yes. Fear of
We
unknown. Yes.
fear of winning, you know, it's the
Hmm.
fear of winning, fear of success, fear of this, fear of that, you know, fear of attention, fear of
Hmm.
being noticed. Because remember, with winning and millionaires and celebrities, what comes? The eyes will come all around you, you
Yes.
know. And you know, like, I'm not comfortable with that completely, you know. I tell you, to be you know, transparent with you, you know, I'm not comfortable with being transparent all the way. So so it is fear. So but that's my my little experience.
Mm.
And of course there's
That's
others that I told you about, the balloons. But
yes.
this is interesting because I shared it with the group before even I didn't know that I'm gonna be there, you know, which was interesting. I just downloaded it. It's like
Hmm.
my
It
higher
was an
conscious.
intuitive nudge. Yes. It was like
Yeah,
you just felt drawn to act on it, right? First, the idea bubbled up, like something just came in as a download. You just
that's
shared it
true.
with the group, and then in the evening, you decided to act on it. and you went to casino, and that's exactly the result, whatever
Yeah.
happens, right? So
And
it's like our thoughts and our feelings and our actions produce the results. And
yeah,
that's
so
exactly
I put what I did. I put the program into test. You
mm-hmm.
know, um, so that was like super super interesting.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and I believe that it can happen easy with other situations in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if we really want to change, and you know, and I think I'm at a stage in my life I'm ready to do these changes. You
Yes,
know, I mean,
absolutely.
I've been for a while stagnant, and I'm up to it, and I think I have a plan, and the plan is to do the program and not to get
Mm-hmm.
distracted, because that's what I normally do. I will jump into something and then I will be bored. What's happening with this program, which is interesting, it becomes part of my daily, um, my daily exercises, routines, whatever. That it's hard not to, it's addictive in a way. It's a good addiction, you know,
Nabil,
because
can we just, I'm sorry because Carol has to go. Can we just
okay,
let her speak? And thank you so much for sharing it. It was amazing. Carol, just a couple of words. How is your journey, and what were the feelings that, like, what made you to say yes and step into your power and come to work with me?
So, I've studied law of attraction for many years. Um, and the studying of it was not enough. I just felt that I needed like an advocate and, a partner in this. And I really feel, as Nabil, that Irina is just an absolute expert in law of attraction. Um, your training was superb, and you just have a natural feel for this very important study. So we've been working together, and this is what I notice. These are the changes that I feel are important. I can tend to be very analytical, and I can tend to um, I'm not a negative person, but I do really analyze things, and I do think of, kind of what's the worst possible outcome in this situation. So I've really stopped doing that, working with Irina. And I really do try to visualize like what's the best possible outcome here.
Mhm.
That's important. And then I also wrote like keeping in motion. Like Irina knows I took a really bad fall about 10 days ago. It was a beautiful day at an arts and crafts festival, and I took a really bad fall. In fact, the reason I was a little late coming on tonight is I was at the acupuncturist, and they were putting all kinds of needles in my foot. It's healing nicely. But even through this very bad fall, I'm a yoga teacher. That's not a good injury for a yoga teacher. It's not at all. I'm like, you just, I kind of think of Irina and I'm like, you just keep moving forward. You just keep carrying on here. You do your best. And I find that I'm making quicker decisions.
I
Irina,
love it. Yes, I love it.
I had to decide whether or not to lease, to buy this Hyundai Kona. And it took me like 2 months analyzing everything, looking at Subarus. I got to make quicker decisions, and I just, it's not as if Irina's judgmental, but you kind of know what you're thinking. It's like,
Mhm.
let's get this thing done so we can move on to something else. So quicker decisions, that's important. And then I also wrote down, try it. Irina says, try it. When I have an idea, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if it's going to, should I be teaching this kind of yoga? And she's like, try it. And
Mhm.
it's 2 words, but it's powerful. because you just try it. If it doesn't work, you just try something else.
Right, because if it's not one way, it's another way. And Carol, can you share a couple of sentences about, remember, like you were having the clients and you were not feeling that they should be staying with you, and how do we break that through that pattern? Because sometimes we can just hold on to people and we are not allowing the new energy to enter. What did I teach you?
That was my next point.
Yay.
So I happen to, okay, bear with me. I happen to attract multimillionaires here that do not want to spend a dime. So I really have to break that pattern. They're all multimillionaires and they all have no money.
Oh, wow.
And I have to just sit there. But anyway, so Irina, her big expression is, these are not your people. So I did let go of, some of them. I just don't want this in my practice anymore. I just don't want it. I teach an extraordinary class and I know they know it. And I know, like, one woman had heart issues and I'm really dealing with slowing her body down to a crawl. Another one said that she's not going to have back surgery because she took my class.
Wow.
I know I get great outcomes. And so anyway, these are not your people, just trusting what Irina says and clearing the space for other people who probably aren't nearly as rich, but really understand value.
Yes, who value their health more than their wallet, right? And remember, as we were talking about the law of vacuum, you cannot pack and pack and pack. Just think about the jar, right? How much can you fit into the jar? So you have to empty the jar if you want to fit more,
You have
right?
to trust, Irina. I have to trust.
Yes,
That
exactly.
something will
The
fill
more
it,
you
something
trust,
better will
the
fill
more
it.
you're ready to receive. Yes, right?
So that's
And
big. I think Irina's got a brilliant business mind. And so I'm really, benefiting, Nabil, from her business mind as well as the law of attraction. Well, it's all the same, And then another important thing is I'm in an apartment and there are some real challenges here. Very thin walls. Things are shifting. This week was a much better week, knock on wood, but they use leaf blowers here all the time to blow the cement. So this is like, it was every single day, and I really needed to get out of here. And Irina's helping me to not settle, to really find that place. And it has gotten better this week. It has gotten better, which is good. And just, Irina's incredibly supportive, unconditionally loving. She doesn't get into the small stuff, We just kind of move forward. If I'm in a pissy mood or whatever, she just,
Let's focus on life-giving things, right? Let's not dwell on something that doesn't work, right? Let's focus on something that is gonna work for us, right?
Yeah.
It's all about shifting our energy, right? And I love, even like I was telling Carol, like when we come to the sessions nowadays, it's like your expression of the face is completely different because you are shifting your energy and it shows up like in your posture, in your body. Because remember, the energy is so powerful. So people read off from our energy even before we open our mouth, right? Sometimes you could walk into the room and people like just naturally drawn to you. You become like that magnet and they can't even explain why they want to get to know you, why they want to start talking to you. And it could happen the other way around. Sometimes we are repellent with others, right? When somebody walks into the room, you've never talked to the person, you've never known that person, but you feel there is something wrong, right? Because it's like our energy already introducing us before we open in our mouth, right? So the idea is we can actually work on our energy to elevate it higher and make it very magnetic to attract the best people, to attract the best opportunities our way, so we can actually see the amazing results in our life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, one other thing is, Irina, you work with a lot of people and they have a lot of, like you know how to hold space for people who are really struggling and, just kind of move us all forward, without getting into you know what I mean? You just hold space for
Right.
us, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for showing up and sharing this beautiful journey of yours, because I just want for people to understand that, you know what, we all want to have somebody by our side. Because even me, I'm still coached by two coaches in my business and in my mindset, because we are never done and we cannot see our blind spots, right? So sometimes it's easy for us to identify people's things to notice, but it's never easy to see what is something that we have to pay attention at. So coaches need coaches as well as everybody else. And a lot of people do not realize it, because I always tell that we were taught in schools and in colleges how to make money, but nobody was teaching us how to live the life and how to handle the life and how to handle our emotions and how to actually shift our focus on something that really producing the best results. This is the skills, and this is exactly what we are learning when we are doing this self-development, self-growth work. And like I said, it's easy to partner with somebody who already has the system. There is a system of like that produces the results. It's not like throwing the spaghetti on the wall and see if it works, right? But when you have somebody who has the system and that system works and it generates the results over and over again, so that means if it works for one, it's going to work for everyone. There are no exceptions, and I can guarantee the results for everybody who comes on board and who wants to partner with me. You are going to have incredible results. All it takes is for you to stick with me and to work, because it works when we work it.
I believe
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much, guys, for coming. Thanks for everybody who is watching. And I salute you. I celebrate you. And for tonight's homework, for the day 10 fun work, it's going to be identify the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and what obstacles or challenges might be contributing to it. Just
Mhm.
think and sit down and write down and say, okay, this is the place where I am today, and this is where I want to be. And you all know, because you all crafted the vision the first week we were doing it together, right? And now just ask yourself that question: what obstacles or what are the challenges that are contributing to that gap? Why am I having that gap? Why am I not where I want to be? Not to say that you are going to be blaming yourself, but it's all just see what kind of work has to be done in order to close that gap, right? It could be maybe you do not believe that it works. Maybe you have the limited beliefs thinking that this is just for the chosen ones. Maybe you just do not know what is the best course for you to take, right? You do not know how. But as I mentioned before, how, it's not our job to know, because we are just partnering with that higher power, the power that's breathing us. Because I'm just reminding you that we cannot take a single breath on our own. So if we put the alarm clock and that alarm clock is going to go off tomorrow, but if the power that's breathing us is not going to wake us up, there is nothing that's going to wake us up. So we understand all that. It's, we call it life force, we call it God, we call it creator, we call it life force. Whatever you are on the spirituality journey, just understand that we are not alone on this path. And once we connect and trust that higher power, that higher power is going to guide us step by step by step. That's when we are going to tune into our intuition. That's when we are going to shift things and see what are the steps for us to take in order to achieve exactly what we want. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. And the most important thing, it's not only the destination and receiving the dream or your goal or whatever desired outcome, but also who you become in the process is more important, because it's gonna allow you to go through, by Carol, it's gonna allow you to go through the struggle, right? To show that you can be powerful, right? You are gonna actually harness that power, and you're going to realize that no economy, no anything outside of you is going to dictate who you are and how you feel, right? That's, like I said, a lot of people are waiting for the circumstances to change. They say, okay, when I'm going to have more money, when I'm going to have more time, when my kids are going to go to school, when I'm going to finish this work. There is no time to wait, because the all time that we have is just now, right? And we are creating from the point of now. So I just invite you to think about this night when you are going to be determining your gap, and see if you can actually do the journey alone, or you actually need some help. And like I said, we are here, we are still doing this 30 days live. And I know you're going to grow big time if you're going to be doing this work, if you're coming back every night, if you can't come live, if you come just to listen to me later on. But just know that we are all on our individual journey. And let's just partner together and let's walk this beautiful manifestation journey and create the miracles. Thank you so much for joining. I love you all and have a great night.